I hope that everyone's having a great time so far. I know that I am. We're only a few hours in, but I've already learned so much about so many different things, and I'm really excited for the rest of the day. So I'm really delighted to introduce our next speaker, Diane Woodbridge. Diane is an associate professor in the Master of Science in Data Science program at the University of San Francisco. Her research interests include database management systems, data infusion, and machine learning in various domains, including biomedical, geoscience, and geospatial remote sensing. Prior to joining USF, Professor Woodbridge was with the Scalable Analysis and Visualization Department at Sandia National Laboratories. So please welcome me in welcoming Diane.
Thank you. Again, I'm Diane Woodbridge. I'm an associate professor at the University of San Francisco. So unlike the prior speakers and also the speakers coming up who are in the research university like Stanford, after spending 4 years at Sandia National Lab, primarily focusing on research and development, I decided to change my career to academia that focuses a little more on teaching. At the time, I had a 1-year-old and 6-year-old, so I wanted to balance my life a little better and also wanted to learn more about pedagogical approaches and then different teaching methodology. And during my tenure and the 9 years being at USF, I learned so much about it, and then it took me to this natural journey to developing my tenure year project. This is my tenure sabbatical year, that doing a study studio.ai with one of my alum and then one of my coworker who is also an alum of Stanford. So today I'm going to talk about a data-driven approach for enforcing AI policy in student learning. So starting in November of 2023, a lot of students started to using ChatGPT or something similar for their study. It really helps to provide personalized learning. We cannot be the best teacher for every individual, but if you ask, I don't understand this concept that my instructor said, could you explain in a more layman terms? They're really good at it. And also giving a response right away rather than waiting your instructor for giving the answer from your 3 a.m. Slack message or email or your Canvas message. But a study showed that using those tools can actually cause a habit of procrastination and then memory loss and actually worsen your academic performance. So as an educator, we've been really cautious about how we are going to introduce this into the classroom. And I have now my, who used to be 6-year-old when I joined USF, is in high school. So parents like myself want our children to learn how to use AI for their future studies or their future career, because everyone is saying, oh, AI is going to replace every job, then what is coming up? So parents are urging school to teach AI, where we are not yet ready for. So around 2024, fall semester, a lot of universities and higher education mandated instructors to include AI policy onto their syllabus. And also there has been a lot of communication through the conferences or through the social network. There even had this shared Google Doc. I'm not sure that whether you contributed on this doc or not, that like instructors put their AI policy as an example to share with other instructors through different universities. Because every instructor has a different pedagogical approach, I might think that, okay, for my class, I don't want my students to use any AI platform to write codes, but some might be really open to. For this course, I assume that my students are senior and then pretty good at programming, so maybe writing code and copying from AI would be fine. So everyone has a different policy, and I guess the discipline has a different policy, and even within the same class, depending on the lesson plan or assignment, it might have a different policy, whether you can use AI tools and how much you can use it. And this caused a lot of confusion for our students, because a lot of times within a semester, they might take 4 or 6 courses. And in January, I found this article that students at University of Minnesota, who was a PhD candidate, got expelled from the program by misusing AI. And as the article said, it's a death penalty for him. That my interpretation is that a study showed that only 3% of the students are really intent to cheat. But then with all those confusion and different criteria, it can easily lead to a loophole. And the students had to leave the program and also had to go back to his home country. So my goal was, given that our students' busy life, how are we going to make our AI agents to understand those AI policy that we provide in the syllabus and then control that so that they can abide to those policy better. So this is one example I found. This, I color-coded in red, that this course, you are not allowed to use AI for any process, including brainstorming or drafting. This one, you may use AI for certain assignment, but within a function level, less than the function level, and you cannot use it for module, package, or library generation. And this one saying, oh, you can use AI as long as you cite it. So what we developed was the automated data-driven approach and data pipeline. We got this institution list from Department of Education. And then using a Google Search API, we were able to get a URL and the contents of the school website that includes AI policy. And we store that onto the database. And by using TF-IDF variant topic discovery model with a high coherence value, we were able to extract some of the topics which were reviewed by the human experts. Because of the currently still it is preliminary in the space, AI policy space, that a lot of those statements are kind of example that can contain a lot of different variation. Oh, you can say it is allowed / not allowed to use AI in assignment. So it's not quite clear, and then each sentence can have a various information. And then we came up with categories after that review process. And by using LangChain classifier, we were able to reading that statement and then see whether it is allowed or not allowed for the given category. Because those policies are evolving, we made this data pipeline to be run regularly so that we can adapt to the new policies as it's going to evolve. So how this is going to be used, how this is being used, is that when there is a policy statement comes in, then it checks what are the criteria that was mentioned in the policy, and then turn knob on and off, whether it's allowed or not allowed. And then it enforces onto our study studio to provide or limit the functionality. So currently we have a study guide, which is like summary and tutor chatbot, and then example exam creator. Then depending on how much is allowed, we want to turn the knob to provide the answer based on the policy. So criteria that we found so far, based on the current policies from various institutions, are whether you'd allow using AI in classroom or learning, allowing in assignment or assessment, research, or whether you are required to attributing or citing AI-generated work and validation requirement for information accuracy or copyrighted material. The seventh category would be the cautions on releasing sensitive information. And then lastly, main authority, who is going to determine whether it is allowed or not allowed to use AI in the classroom. So this is an example that, let's say we didn't have a syllabus, so I will just entering it in this class. Using Gen AI for assignments are not allowed. And you can even put a whole sentence. And if you uploaded a syllabus, it will parse and understand what is category in there. And then it will classify allowance level. And you can also customize it based on your statement or your class policy. And here's one example assignment that say how write a pseudocode to determine the optimal split point in decision trees. And I went to random class topic, which is an object-oriented programming not related to decision tree, and asking similar question, how can I decide the split point in decision trees? And it does the vector similarity search against all the assignment, and then telling the students, oh, you're making mistake, this is similar to your assignment, and rather than me answering, it will reroute to the material that students can start doing that assignment. Okay. So some of the things that I want to work on for making this AI usage in education to better help the students is that understanding different needs and use cases by the different instructors or different type of classes so that we can further personalize the classifier. And also, I'm working on a pilot study with the USF, but I found that every instructor and teachers and schools are all different. So if you or you know someone is interested in trying it out and doing a free pilot study, I would love to understand how to deliver the better learning outcome in a safest and a better way. Some key takeaways from my talk is that there are varying AI policies which can confuse students, but it is necessary because everyone has a different pedagogical approach, and we want our students to develop the problem solving skill sets and also the critical thinking methods, but it can confuse students. So a data-driven method can automate this AI policy classification and enforce that onto our students to safely use AI for their learning rather than taking as a shortcut. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have time for a few questions. So how easy would it be to actually interface this software with softwares that are commonly used? So at Stanford, for example, we use something called Canvas to organize courses. Do you think it would be easy to actually integrate your system with already in-house systems?
Yeah, so great question. So we are mirroring the LMS system onto the study studio. So if you have a Canvas account, then you can mirror, and then it automatically pulls the data from Canvas. Even there is a new updates in there, and then generate the study guides, and you can communicate. And then your Canvas might have a syllabus that can control, that might have your AI policy in there. So yeah, we connected with a learning management system, LMS. Thank you.
Thank you for a great talk. My question is about we can't really enforce these code of ethics in terms of using AI because we can't really detect that with high accuracy. So wouldn't it make sense just to have one code which is use whatever tools are available because that's what you're going to end up doing at the job market itself?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So we think if you intend to go around and then like I'm going to use a Queer or the OpenAI, it's their choice to make their ethical decisions. But my belief comes from that students want to learn. That's why they're investing so much time and then money for it. But then all these different and varying policy is really confusing. So sometimes they got into this slippery hole unintentionally. So that's why I am automating this process, but still, if you want to cheat, it's their choice. Yeah.
Can you please explain a bit about student experience in here? Do they go to study studio and get a list of their courses, and then they can interact with each course syllabus and their policy separately? So the chat dialogue is between student and that specific course on their maybe like page?
Yeah, for the, I guess the pilot study through the university, it connects with a canvas that pulls the data, but individual users, they can just go to their account and connect with a canvas and it pulls, it's a syllabus or other learning materials and then enforce the policy in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.